What is up, everybody? It is Tuesday, September 13th. Welcome into your Daily Dog Take. I'm your host, Jacob at Roachism13, joined by the very knowledgeable and very smart host of the amazing All Eyez on Cleveland that I listen to any chance I can, Mr. Brad Ward. Brad, how are you doing?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me, brother. I'm first time on here. I second.
You've been on the Barking Browns with us a couple of times.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah,
first
this
first
is
time on my solo venture.
all right. Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that you had me and good Monday. Victory Monday here. So,
It is I had the pleasure we the network were able to host a live pregame show at Platform Brewery on Lorraine Avenue in Cleveland
oh nice.
yesterday. And there's a video going around of us all huddled right before the kick and then the kick, and I still can't. I still have you heard Jim Donovan's call of it yet?
I, I was actually just watching it again of the video though in the booth with Zagura up there and
Oh,
everything. It's pretty good.
I have not seen the video. I'll have to find that. I did
Yeah.
see somebody did splice the audio of that onto the video of the kick and add the Titanic theme
I
song to
did
it
see
as
that
well.
as well. Yeah, that's great. Anything to Titanic feels so much more dramatic. It's
It,
fantastic.
it always tops it off. But so it's Tuesday, so we'll do the state of the Browns here on Tuesday. So we'll kind of work through it. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, man. What is it that stood out in a positive light for you? Maybe let's even do it in kind of a unique way. What is something on the offensive side of the ball that was positive that you were surprised by, that you didn't? You were like, I don't know what this is going to be, and then it kind of was a pleasant surprise for you yesterday.
Yeah, so I must admit I have been banging the table about the wide receiver room all off season. Like it's not good enough. They need to do more. And this isn't really like saying that that's not true as much as it is that it was okay. Like they didn't go deep enough really. They didn't they've pushed Schwartz far enough back in the wide receiver depth chart that like they just used him at opportune times. They used him on the reverses and they got him a nice catch in the fourth quarter where he got open, created some separation. Good stuff, build his confidence. There, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I thought played a superb game. A lot of those balls, not easy catches that he's catching in traffic, guys on his back, balls going to the ground a lot of times. One thing that Jacoby does is he's not going to throw a ball that's going to be interceptable, right? So a lot of times those balls are going down low to the ground. Donovan probably 3 or 4 times went down to the ground, didn't let the ball hit the ground, made the catch. I thought he was really good. And Cooper, although the numbers aren't there, he created the terrible pass by Brissett, but created the DPI, right? That gets him to the first touchdown. He torched that guy on that route. And then he comes back, gets another holding penalty big in the second half where the guy had to just grab him because he was going open, gets a first down, and then gets that catch late to get him in field goal range. So good performance by those three guys. Not so much Schwartz, but really Peoples-Jones and Cooper. And it was enough in this game to not shine a light on the wide receiver room and say, "Oh, it's so bad." It was enough, and that surprised me a little bit. So that
Yeah,
would
I
be a positive
definitely.
there.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I said on my initial reaction pod real quick on early to this morning on Monday morning. I did it live because I was up in Cleveland and I took the day off today because I knew there was going to be just
Yeah,
preemptively. And but I thought that 30, 40 yards a game from Schwartz is all he needs to do. And he had 39 yards. So like he gets 3 touches. I think it looked like he kind of dropped that one that he didn't catch. I don't know if they registered it as a drop or whatever. I'm kind of a Schwartz guy, so I was really happy to see that because I'm kind of somewhat high on him. A PFF for DPJ had him with 3 for 3 on contested catches.
yeah.
So in terms of, he had 11 targets, finishes with the 6. And I got to admit that and we'll talk about this when we shift to the defense, but wide receiver and defensive tackle that had the biggest worries, those were the biggest comforts I thought I had in a sense. Because, man, Cooper's not with speed, but with just precise and technique and kind of some shiftiness, he torched a few people out there.
Yeah, he did. He did. And that kind of brings me. So if we look at the overall pass game as a whole, and you kind of look at Brissett, like, listen, he wasn't great, and he can be much better, but he wasn't. He was on the verge of being bad. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But he did enough, right? Like, he made enough plays that they probably shouldn't have even been in the position they were in the end of the game. Really, the blown coverages is what let them back in the game. The Browns controlled the game and pretty much dominated the game. It shouldn't have been that close. Although, I'm happy that it worked out the way it did. It shouldn't have been that close. They never should have been in a position where they had to drive down and get that field goal. But it's the NFL and crazy things happen. So you win how you can win, right? And I'm not going to complain about it. Although they were up 27 going into the fourth quarter. You should go. They probably should have win going away. Myles Garrett, that fumble squeaks out from underneath him. Big, huge turning point there. And the blown coverages, those were that. But as far as Brissett's play goes, I think he'll be better as we go along. So the fact that we were in a winnable position and he played the way that he did, no turnovers always helps, even though he didn't throw the ball super accurately and he missed a couple explosives, right? Like that were there. Kareem Hunt wide open on one early. He missed. I think he missed Cooper on one early. And those are killers, right? You would like to have those back, and you would like to think that he was maybe fired up or whatever, and maybe he hits those in the future. But yeah, if you get guys open like that, that's going to be 6. Like that was a touchdown to Kareem Hunt. Same thing to Cooper early, and he just misses them. So those were disappointing, but the fact that he played the way that he did and they were still in it, no turnovers, he made big throws at the right time. I'm not going to complain too much about it because really it's like we're bridging a gap here, right, Jacob? We're bridging a gap. So it's not like I need to judge this guy like he's the end all be all for our franchise. He just needs to get us through this 11 games. So, and he did what he needed to do to win the game. And probably more. Like he did enough to win the game, and then he still had to make a last-minute drive, and he was able to do that. Something that Baker was never able to do for us in Cleveland. So I'm okay with giving him like a check mark. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Brissett, it was all right. It wasn't great, but he did enough to win. And other surprises on the offensive side of the ball. I was surprised that David Bell only gets 22 snaps.
Yeah.
I thought he would be in the game more, but they chose not to use him. They actually gave Schwartz one more snap than even him. So I thought David Bell would be the third option by far.
Did he even get a target? I don't even think he got targeted.
I don't think he did. But yeah, only 22 snaps there. Felton didn't really get a target. I don't think, did he? Or catch?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, and he was probably, maybe even less snaps than that or somewhere in that range. So it looks like they're going to go wide receiver 3 by committee, or at least in week 1 they did, kind of. So I'd like to see Bell kind of take that role as we move forward.
Yeah, I've said with Brissett, I said, obviously there was that roughing the passer call, and they didn't call him on that fake spike, which I listened to Jake Burns talk about it today, and he said on the All-22, he thought on the All-22 it looked more like it was a fake and that maybe it should have been a penalty. But I listen, I've watched those calls go against the Browns long enough that I don't give a shit. So I'm not, I'm not gonna. But with Brissett, I think I was like, I'm the eternal optimist, and all of my friends were, like, Baker leads that drive. There's 113 left, and they're like, "You really think Brissett's going to lead it down?" And he did. And I don't know that I can ask him to do any more. I just thought early, I thought his timing was off. I thought a lot of the
Yeah,
timing with the wide receivers, especially on those outbreaking routes. I don't know if he hit an outbreaking route like all day. Eh,
agreed.
Although Cooper tried to catch that one that was just stupid on the sideline. I still can't believe
Yeah,
he did it. But like I was like, okay. But the thing to me that I thought I give Bill Callahan whatever, blank check. I don't give a shit. Keep it. I mean, he even taught Jacoby how to block. He threw a block on that reverse. I, but I'll tell you, I agree with everything you said. The thing that got me the most, and because I really liked him. I just really thought this offseason that he made some strides last year. James Hudson looked really nice, especially in that run game. I think he gets an 84 run blocking grade from PFF in that. And I just thought, compared to the dude that I watched, like I was there for that Arizona game when he ends up having to go in at left tackle and Baker's all really banged up at that point. Just going from that to what I saw, yesterday from Hudson, I thought that him and the offensive line as a whole are the reason the Browns potentially can still be alive when the suspension's up.
yeah. Huge surprise there because even in the preseason, he
Yeah.
struggled. He struggled immensely in a couple. I think the Jacksonville game, maybe that
Yeah.
it was really bad. Like he was getting worked like a drum, and yeah, he played really well, and you can't, you know, I was surprised a little bit. I guess they don't change their alignment or whatever, but keeping Burns on I'm surprised that Carolina wouldn't switch Burns to the other side to maybe exploit that a little bit more. But
Yeah, that was
interesting.
weird. It was really weird.
Yeah. But they left him over there, and that's fine with me. So he got straight up with Yetur Gross-Matos, and he did okay. And like you said, he did an even better job as a run blocker. And yeah, I mean they time of possession like 38 to 21.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Browns, I mean, dominated the time of possession and with the run game. And it's what you expected from the run game. And Hudson filled in admirably, certainly. Better than I expected for sure. I was a little bit like, what? Like, I thought maybe they would even start Haig, the guy they
Yeah.
signed just a few days ago. But they went with Hudson, and yeah, like you said, give Bill Callahan all the credit in the world for getting those guys ready.
He got some help from Kareem Hunt and from David Njoku, who had a heck of a blocking day. I thought. I still am really impressed. He goes from asking for a trade to putting his nose down and just working his ass off. Now, can we get him some freaking targets?
I don't know what's going on there.
You even paid
But
him.
yeah, but you pay a guy that much money, and the money needs to perform, right? The money
Yep.
needs to perform at some point. So, an NFL team is playing well when the money is playing well. So you got to get him involved in the offense more. Um, Although, you know, hard to complain with this one.
I'm not
Win
complaining
ugly,
about a win.
whatever, right? Yeah, but I agree though. You would like to see him be utilized more because when they did go to him, it almost looked easy at times. So go there more. But that would be
Yeah.
my only complaint really from Kevin Stefanski is maybe feature
Yep.
Njoku a little more.
Yeah, I hope we are finally getting there. We're not, because I've seen it on Twitter that people can understand that Kevin Stefanski's play calling is good. It's good.
Mhm.
Let's stop. Twitter will never get there, but I think rational minds have gotten there. So, Brad,
Yeah.
let's shift over to the defense. Yeah, Miles was superhuman. Um, I I saw his overall pass rush grade and everything. I wanted to see his overall pressure number because I didn't see what the pressure total was on there.
10
Um, I'm trying to see if I
percentage
can.
wise or
I wanted to see just his total pressures
I think he had 10,
because
I wanna say.
was it 10?
Yeah, I thought I saw 10. I could be
Oh my
wrong.
goodness. The thing
But
is, the
I thought I
Browns,
saw 10. Go ahead.
yeah, the Browns let up 9 as a team offensively all day, and I thought Brissett kind of ran himself into a few of them. But Miles is just like him and JOK, especially, you know, in terms of just flying past blocks. There was a couple clips of JOK where he just swimmed right
guys. Yep.
Yeah, where he dipped under the dude and like he hit McCaffrey, but it was like a pass, or it was a pass play. So it didn't, you know, obviously we didn't, you know, just watching the game, you didn't necessarily see that play because it just didn't impact the actual play. But for me, I'll start out with my surprise and I'll move to yours, Brad. Mine was Jordan Elliott. Like, I just thought that Jordan Elliott not only wasn't a liability, he was good. I thought that there was kind of some stuff. I thought his grading was a little bit lower than what I would have put him at. I put out a couple of clips of him today that I was just watching through. But I thought one of the things that was important, I couldn't figure out early why they weren't running the ball. And then when they kind of started running the ball at the defensive tackles, Elliott, he at least did what did we want Billings to do? Just be a dude that eats space and is in the way. And Elliott might not have made a ton of splashy plays, but I showed one clip specific where literally he is stonewalled. The running back runs into Elliott, and then it ends up being a 1 yard gain, but he like runs into him. And I thought he did some really nice pressures. But yeah, for me, man, it was Jordan Elliott, Taven Bryan, and even Tommy Togiai had a pretty good game. And I thought, wow, did these two positions hear us talk shit about them all off season?
I think it just goes to show, personally, I'm going to give the front office more credit than, you know, I'm not ready to concede that I'm wrong about the wide receiver room or the defensive line room. But for one game, you know, they were able to hold the dam with what they have. And Jordan Elliott, by all accounts, even Miles, you know, said long off season, spent a lot of time in Berea, put on 20 pounds of muscle, different guy, different mentality, all that stuff. Taven Bryan, former first round pick, you move him here. They did their job, right? Like they're not asking them to be world beaters in this defense, right? The world beaters are in the second level, the third level, and on the edges, right? They're just asking them to play a role, and they played their role, and they did their job. They kept McCaffrey under wraps for most of the game. You know, he really did most of his damage in the screen game, right? So they did a good job there, and I will, for 1 week they held up, and absolutely happy with what we saw from them, and just now let's see it keep going, right, and get that rotation down, because you know other teams are going to run between the tackles more than the Carolina Panthers are at times, I think. So
for sure. I agree. I'm not ready to completely say that it's fixed, but at least, I mean, I thought it was better than what I thought we would see at any point. So, like, I'm at least going, hey.
You might be right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to correct myself there, 6 pressures from Myles Garrett. I was looking at it. So,
man, that felt like it.
Not
felt
10.
Like more.
Yeah.
I thought you were right, because it felt like he was in Baker. Like, I thought that the only plays that Myles pretty much didn't have pressures were on the plays where they just – you know, did the quick play, you know, the busted coverage and the quick throws, because there was a few plays that I thought he was coming, but the ball was gone. The ball was already gone for the busted coverage or something like that. And I just thought, I don't know. I thought that was really good. I thought Alex Wright, I'm a big Alex Wright stan. I may be the only owner of a 94 jersey right now. I was the only person that had a 94 jersey on at that party, but
nice.
There is one person that is bigger. I think that Corey Kinnan may be the only bigger Alex Wright stan in the world than I am, but I will give him that route. But I thought he did, you know, made some plays. Even Isaac Rochelle seemed to kind of create a little bit of pressure. I thought that was really nice. I just, the communication for me is the only thing. There's communications with blown coverages. And Jake, I was listening to Jake talk to Corey today, and he said 4 plays. You take out those 4 plays, and Mayfield throws for like 100 yards.
Yeah, and two plays, 125 yards and a touchdown. So 65% of the Panthers passing came on 2 plays. Yeah, wild.
Yeah. It's
I
so
saw
so for you,
Tyvis
defense
Powell.
surprises on
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, I saw Tyvis Powell breaking it down a little bit as far as the fault there, and it looks like it was more on Newsom's a little,
Yeah.
I guess, there that he probably should have stayed with the one on the 70-yard one to Robbie Anderson,
Mhm.
where it looked initially like he thought he had over the top help from John Johnson, and John Johnson jumped the out route, and that's what left him wide open. Where Newsom was kind of looking to pass him off to
Yeah.
John Johnson, and he wasn't there, and that's kind of why he was wide open. But I guess in hindsight, or according to Tyvis Powell, if they're in that defense, that if that route is beyond 5 yards, then that's Greg Newsom, pardon me, staying with the
Oh,
number one wide receiver there. So he should have been with Robbie all the way. Now that's asking a lot in that situation, but he did. I mean, it was just a blown coverage. Same
yeah.
thing with Tremble, blown coverage. So um, two huge plays came on miscommunication. Yeah, just Joe Woods. They run so much zone. You know,
Mhm.
they run so much cover three, cover four, and especially when you're running a version of like that Seattle cover three. And I don't know what they were in on that play, but that is all like rules, and people are
Mhm.
going to run cover three beaters that stress those rules, that leave you with decisions just like they were left with there. Like, hey, we know that in the Seattle cover three, traditionally, right, that Joe Woods brought over from San Francisco, which, has been passed around the NFL now, like, that this rule or this guy goes this deep, and the rule is that he's going to stay on the outside, or this guy has to split the two routes if he's covering the boundary third of the field, right, or the field side, or either way, and we're going to put two guys over there or three guys over there, or run an extra guy late into that area and make somebody make a decision. And that's those cover three beaters that stress those rules, and that's how they beat those defenses. So they're going to be challenged with that. They just need to clean it up. You know, the thing that's tough about it is it's like, okay, this is year three in Woods' defense, right? So you want to see less of that stuff. And really, his defense is predicated on don't give up the big play. Like,
Mhm.
we'll give you the short stuff. We're going to make you go on 10, 12 play drives, and hope that during that 10, 12 play drive, you make a mistake or we make a play. But we're not going to let anything go over our heads. And when that happens, then what happened, and they got back in the game because of it, right?
Yeah.
The defense had played stellar up to that point. So um, I think they'll clean it up. I don't think it's cause for huge concern, but I mean, they're gonna have that every week when you're in zone that much. You're gonna get people testing your rules and testing your boundaries and testing decision makers on, find ways to put guys in places where they have to make split second decisions like that. So get it cleaned up, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I wonder too. Like I've heard other people mention this. Like, is there something kind of early on with Newsom playing inside and outside, where sometimes maybe that's a lot? Like I think Newsom is a very highly intelligent player, but maybe he's still kind of adjusting to the two sets of rules in his head.
Yeah.
The two things, and I think that maybe excuse me, that is, and of course that one, the Trimble pass, there was only what, 10 players on the field. Like they didn't even have enough guys on the field, so it was like,
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
it's like,
Um,
if that's the only way we're getting beat on defense, I can live with it.
yeah. I'd like to have 11 out there though. But yeah, so you know, Newsom playing in the slot has always been kind of a question mark to me, and Quincy Carrier kind of talked me into like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Like I was really kind of against it. Like if you
Yeah.
take a guy that high in the draft and he shows the promise that he shows on the boundary, then leave him on the boundary, and you should have somebody else. Like you would think, right, that like his agent would be up in arms because slot corners get paid like a third of what a boundary corner does. Now the Browns are asking him to play in both positions. Basically, they're asking him to kick in when they go into a true nickel. I guess uh, And then this makes sense, and it's kind of progressive. And if you notice what Carolina did on Njoku, and it might have been part of the reason he was taken out of the game, is and a guy that John Ellis, who works and covers the Panthers on my show, said they're going to match J.C. Horn up with Njoku. And if you notice, they did a lot. So
Yeah.
he's real physical, and he does a pretty good job with tight ends. So same thought process in today's NFL. Your star wide receivers are in the slot half the time. So it's kind of progressive thinking to move Newsome in there when he's, so talented. Um, I still would rather have them kind of like have a true nickel guy. That's why I kind of like Sean Jolly to make the roster, and I'm glad that he's around, maybe to develop him some into that role, because it's hard to find those true nickel guys. It was a surprise that they traded Troy Hill, I thought. Um, but they are going to roll with Newsome there, and we'll see what happens. But he is not like your true nickel guy. I mean, he has the talent of a boundary guy that you're just moving around to adapt to the new NFL, in my opinion. So
I really think the evolution. Marcus Harvey talks about this. I've had this conversation with him a few times about the evolution of corner, and I think you're really spot on. That's some stuff where it's just like, hey, DPJ was in the slot for several snaps. I was looking, I mean, you move these guys around to try to create mismatches. And I love the idea of being like, you know what? No, no, you're not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to let it off. All right. One more question for you, Brad, and we'll wrap this thing up. Overall, do you feel the same, better, worse than you did this time last week?
Better. I feel better. I do. I feel like, well, listen, I'll be honest, I was really concerned about this game. Like this game, I thought that Carolina was going to present more of a challenge than they actually did. In the end, the Browns defense did a good job on Mayfield. The couple breakdowns we talked about. Outside of that, though, they basically shut them down the entire game, right? Outside of the 4 plays or 2 plays or however you want to break it down, right? The screenplay to McCaffrey was a big hitter, right? But
Yeah.
they should have never let them back in this game. And other than that, it was a dominating performance with poor quarterback play. So I leave feeling like, okay, clean some things up. You get the Jets and Joe Flacco this week. My goal is to get to like 6 wins
Yep.
by the time we get to, Watson back, or 7 or whatever you can get to, but 6, 5, if you're in that area, 6 would be ideal, I think, as the schedule gets real tough after these first 4. But they could even do better than that. I mean, if you play ball control, defense, special teams like they did week 1, I think you can win more games than that. You can win 7, you can win whatever. But especially, I think that Brissett's play is only going to get better,
Yep.
Jacob, to be honest.
Yep.
I think he'll get better. So
I,
I feel better about it.
I will say that 5 is my minimum. I think for them to compete, they got to get to 5 in the first
Sure.
11. I think, but I thought that I agree with you mainly because we said, what do we say? How can they win with and of course, like right now, Seattle's winning with Geno Smith, and I don't know what's going on over here, but how do they win with Brissett in those 11 games? And then yesterday, they literally did exactly what we've talked about for months. And it was like you said, ball control, don't turn the football over, play good defense, play good specials. Please replace your punt returner because I can't go through that heart attack that is a roller coaster. I love Demetric Felton. I just don't want him back there fielding kicks.
Agreed.
Just anything. But Brad, before we sign off, man, make sure everybody can knows where to find everything and all the great stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. I had a blast here, good breakdown of the game, and excited about this season here. Good, man. Had to get off the snide, man. It's been a long time coming for this opener win, so that feels so good. That 1-0 feels so good. You can follow me on Twitter at Ward on Sports. I write for USA Today Sports Media Group, the Browns Wire, and of course, All Eyez on Cleveland. Right there, Blue Wire Podcast. Go check it out where all popular podcasts are found.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of here. Guys, I will see you again tomorrow morning. But as always, until then, go Browns.